Hi there. Welcome to Bourbon Turntable. We are the show that blends the love of music with the love of whiskey. Tonight, we have a great show for you. This is going to be a lot of fun. I really appreciate my friends Jason Brauner and John Wadell agreeing to come on this show together. We're recording two shows tonight. And the first one, we're going to be talking a lot with Jason about what all he's got going on, talk about Buzzard Roost, and we're going to be tasting through the three different batches that have been released of his Buzzard Roost cigar rye. So we'll get to that with Jason and with John in just a few minutes. But before we do that, I want to tell you about the Bar Cart Co-op. Bar Cart Co-op is a collection of friends who produce content for the whiskey enthusiast. Distillers Talk with Alan Bishop and Christy Atkinson. They have shows that drop about every Friday, and they will talk with distillers from across the country and around the world about any and everything when it comes to distillation. If that's not geeky enough for you, Alan also has a show that he does called One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. So if you're a distiller, either legal or not so legal, you can send your questions into Alan and he will answer them on YouTube releases. Alan also has a show called If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, because Alan just has too much time on his hands, apparently. If you have ghosts, you have everything diverts a little bit from the spirits realm and gets into the spiritual realm. He'll talk about ghosts. He'll talk about Bigfoot. He'll talk about religions. He'll talk about history. It kind of covers a wide spectrum of topics. Then we have My Whiskey Den with Pat and Mike and Mitch every Monday night. It is live, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. My Whiskey Den is where craft whiskey is king. Be sure to check that show out. Hang out in the chat. Those are some good folks there. And the newest member of the Bar Cart Co-op is David Levine and Whiskey in My Wedding Ring. He has a blog. He has a podcast where he will do great reviews. He's a really smart guy, very clever. We really appreciate and enjoy what all he has to say. And then you've got our show, Bourbon Turntable. You can watch our show on YouTube. If you're watching it on YouTube now, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can listen to the shows on your favorite podcast platform, as long as it's Apple, Spotify, or Google. We have a Facebook page where we release all of our shows. We have a Facebook group where we love to interact with you and hear what you're drinking and what you're listening to while you're drinking it. So enough of all that. Let's get into the fun part of the evening. And John, I want to start with you first. John, welcome to the show. I think you've been on a time or two now, and we appreciate you coming back.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Looks like we got plenty of stuff to drink in front of us tonight.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we'll have to exercise a little bit of discipline.
yeah.
What's that?
Well, we're about to find out whether we have it or not.
Right.
Well, I'm home for the night, so I'm good.
I am as well.
Good. All right, so we've got that going for us, which is nice. And John, tell everybody who you are and where you work and what you do and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so my name is John White. I'm the single barrel curator for Kentucky Peerless Distilling Company. Basically, what I do in a nutshell is I get to taste all the barrels when they become of age and help select which ones go towards the batching. And then I'll take the single barrels, the really unique and special ones, and I'll sell them to different accounts, bars, restaurants, bourbon groups, and anybody else that wants to come in and get a barrel. And then I do a little bit of distillation, fermentation, marketing, a little bit of everything for them down there.
Yeah. And you have another venture?
Oh, yeah. Then I am the owner of Stave & Bean. It's a barrel-aged coffee company. We currently provide coffee for about 6 different distilleries here in Kentucky. Then we're in a couple grocery stores and things like that around town.
Yeah. And Stave & Bean, you've been doing that for what, around 3 years now?
2 years, coming up on 3 years this year in September.
Yeah. Okay. Because I thought I remembered that you guys started Stave & Bean about the same time I started this show. So
yeah, you're right around there. Yeah.
Yep. So that's good. Well, John, thanks for being here, and look forward to tasting through some of this Buzzard's Roost cigar rye with you. And of course, The man that brought us this wonderful concoction is none other than Mr. Jason Brauner. Jason, good to see you.
Good to see you, Kevin. Always,
Yeah.
John. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, we got a little family reunion going here, right? A little father and son reunion.
Always happy to see Dad.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah. When we get later in the show, I'll tell you what he had to say about a relatively backhanded slap at not just your age, but I guess mine too. But we'll get to that later. So let's go ahead and take a pour of Cigar Rye. This is what I have left of batch 1. And so this is the one that kind of got that whole thing started. So while we're tasting, Jason, tell us a little bit about how you came up with the concept or the idea to do a cigar blend with your rye.
Well, working with Andrew over there at the Independent Stave Company, we've been tinkering around with all kinds of different barrels and different finishing barrels and what have you, and came up with this concoction, which we've had great success with. We basically take so we have 17 different proprietary barrels that we've developed with the help of Independent Stave Company. They're all have different toast profiles, but if they're not a toasted, goes into one of our toasted products and they have a number one char. So this has got one of our toast profiles on it with the number one char, and then we actually smoked the barrel with some tobacco, Kentucky tobacco. And we're going to taste through 3 different iterations of it, and it's a pretty cool process. It's kind of a secret how we do it, but in a sense, it's cold smoked. So you don't worry about any type of nicotine or anything transferring over. We've done all of our tests on it, and it's pretty cool. It's just a pretty cool process, and we'll talk about the notes of the whiskey as we go along.
Yep. But so obviously you're not smoking the grain itself because you're buying your whiskey from MGP. So you are getting that smokiness into the rye through getting that smoke into the barrel itself. Is that right?
Yeah, it just really seeps into the barrel, and like I said, after our smoke process, we put the bung on it and send it to Bardstown Bourbon Company, where they'll fill it with some of our MGP 95.5.
Yeah. And how long do you usually leave it in that barrel?
It'll sit in the barrel usually about 6 months is what we like to get for that. So we've got some other experiments going to where we might take it a little longer. But 6 months is about right at the sweet spot that we've seen.
Okay. So John, what are you thinking about this one?
I love these cigar ryes that they have. This first one, it's fruity, it's sweet. You definitely get that char, kind of a smokiness from it with the tobacco. But even the color on it's fantastic.
Yeah. And these are what? Are these 2-year or 3-year, Jason?
They're pretty sure they're 3 and 4. I thought batch 3 was 4 years old. I don't have a bottle in front of me, just those samples. But
yeah,
they're definitely 3 years and older.
Yeah. Okay.
At least.
What's the proof on this?
They're all 105.
Yeah.
105.
Yeah. We didn't do a barrel strength cigar blend. We may change it up next year. We might do the process a little different. We're just kind of, we're toying around with different things, and we think we're kind of narrowing in on it of the finished final product that we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hand select each and every barrel, or like when you go over there and get them?
I do, and I smoked all the barrels. So, well, this last batch I smoked them all. Had some help with the first 2 batches. They're definitely a little bit different.
When this one come out?
This last one came out was in September, October.
What about batch 1? When batch 1 come out?
Oh wow! I guess it'd be 3 years ago.
3 years.
So they all came out in the fall. We feel it's really good for just. I think it pairs well with cigars. Everybody, a lot of people. You talk about cigars and bourbon. So that was another reason why we came out with this cigar blend, cigar rye, is because they do pair so well with a good cigar.
That I like rye with pork, like especially at your restaurant. You do like your pork chop and a good rye. I mean, I'm telling you, it's one of the best combos.
Definitely, rye cuts through that. Any kind of pork fat that might be on there, any richness of the pork, the rye definitely cut through it. Yeah. And that smokiness is a compliment to them all. I think the first one is a little bit brighter. And man, I really did like that last one, but number 3. But I'm just working my way back through them and not really sure which one I like the best. It's like asking me which one of my children I love the best.
And you're not a big rye drinker, are you?
I'm not at all. Just that I was always a huge bourbon fan with, Bourbons Bistro and everything. And I didn't really care for ryes until we started doing them. And that just shows you really, anyway, in my mind, of what these barrel finishes do. It's all brand new cooperage. So we use the barrel one time and then we ship it off. So it's an expensive process, but we feel it's well worth it. And we're under contract to get some new make this year, which will be going in. They'll never see a char 3 or 4 barrels. So it'll go in a heavily toasted char 1 barrel. We are doing some stuff down at Main Street, 624 on our little experimental still. We've already started putting our own juice, of course, in a smaller number. We're putting those in char 1 as well. So
how many barrels do you typically use when you're batching?
This last batch, so we went from the first batch was actually 3 barrels. The second batch was 10, and the third batch was 50 barrels.
Wow!
It was quite an undertaking to get all that taken care of.
Hey, and that's no easy task when you're just using like 3 or 10 barrels, man. That's you gotta really know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's worked out, and what's cool about it is we can scale it up. I was thinking, because we're in 20 states now, that we wouldn't be able to scale up, because it's so hands-on, but I think it's scaled up pretty easy. Might take me, if we were to do 100 barrels, it might take me a while, but
So in that process, because Buzzard Roost will be 5 years old in like July, right?
That's correct.
Is my math right? So in that 5 years, what have been some of the biggest things you've learned about blending? Because you're the master blender, right?
Yeah. But the thing about it, I think with our blending, what's cool is everything's secondary aged. So it goes into our barrels, and there's a lot of science that goes into just producing our barrels. So as we talk about scaling up production, that we have recipes with our barrels. So we get, MGP whiskey, think of that as this top line is the MGP whiskey. We'll blend that So to me, that becomes more consistent. And then it'll go in a series of our barrels, our recipes. So then I blend it from there. So I think when you start at the top with a great product, at the bottom, because it's been in our barrels and I know what it's somewhat going to do to the whiskey,
right?
I think down at the bottom of this cone, you have a more consistent product. And that's the thing about it is scaling up. It's like, well, that's great. Like John was talking about, if you could do it with 3 barrels, but can you do it with 100 barrels? Can you do it with 50 barrels?
Right.
And we feel for the most part that, our business model is, and it's working so far, with 20 states involved, that scaling up is not a problem. And the consistency there is, the quality still there, and the flavor is still there, which we're big on flavor.
So with Buzzard's Roost, what is your current lineup now?
So
it's changed a little bit over the years.
Yeah, well, we've tried to hone in on. We have 3 ryes and 3 bourbons. That's kind of our core, what we call our SKU group. We have, it's a char 1 bourbon and rye. Then we do a toasted bourbon and rye, and then we have a barrel strength bourbon and rye. So, we feel that's not too many. I mean, it's on the verge of maybe some liquor stores, don't carry everything. But we try to have something out there for everybody as far as the char 1 goes, the toasted and the barrel strength. There's some people just don't like barrel strength, but a lot of people do. Some people don't like toasted. A lot of people do. And our char 1 is kind of our flagship, so and that's at 105, 105 proof.
And that used to be called small batch, right?
That's basically the small batch, but I really believe in this char 1, and I think that maybe in 10 years it might change the industry a little bit. And so I kind of wanted to take ownership of it. And I said, we need to put that on the label, So,
well, you've always been very transparent about what you're doing.
Sure.
And as far as you've not tried to mask or do some sort of little dance around the fact that you're sourcing your distillate from MGP. And I think changing that name from small batch to char 1 just pushes that even more, because you're saying right on the front of the label that this is the barrel that we've secondarily aged this in.
Right.
And so there's no guessing game. And you just continue to push that in that direction, where when you started putting batch numbers on there and bottle numbers on the label, it just continues to push forward that whole transparency thing. And I think I appreciate that, and I think it's fantastic.
Well, and we appreciate that customers like that. I mean, there is some, there's some shenanigans going on out there a little bit, but I guess that's part of the game. We've always been transparent because we're really proud of the product we put out there. We're proud of what we do, and don't mind telling people about it. And I always tell people, when I do tastings across the country, it's like, you can tell me, what you really think. You're not going to hurt my feelings. We can't please everybody. We know this, but we do try to put enough out there for a bunch of different types of palates. And I think we're just about there. Yeah. We've got a couple of LTOs that we do, which are limited time offerings. I think we've talked about this on the show before. We do a French oak, a bourbon in a toasted French oak barrel. We do a smoked rye, which is finished with a little bit of smoky peat. Right. And then this year we've got some new things going out that I guess I can talk about. On our secondary aging, since we only, age for 2 months to a year, those barrels, and John's done some coffee for me in one of those barrels. There's still a lot of youth and a lot of flavor left in those barrels. So we decided to do an American whiskey.
Awesome.
will be coming out. Excuse me. The price point is really a lot better because we are using used cooperage. It's still the same great whiskey. We're not fooling around there. We're just putting it back into our used cooperage, which is pretty cool. So it's bourbon aged bourbon, or I don't know.
Right.
But
It's bourbon that would be bourbon, except it's aged in a
bourbon barrel.
Used cask. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So that's coming out, and we hope to, that's for like on premise. I think it's a great cocktail whiskey. It's a great sipping whiskey. And you can make a drink and not really, won't be in the $18-$20 range.
Yeah.
And still have that great quality, great flavor. And those used cooperage, like I said, there's a lot of flavor still left in those barrels.
Which used barrels are you using?
Well, that's we have a few secrets we like to keep.
Okay, well, just between you and me, then no, I get that. That's fine.
It just goes into our used cooperage. Actually, the Buzzard Roost used cooperage. So,
because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, if you put some of it in, use cigar rye barrels and some of it, and use toasted barrels and some of it in French oak barrels.
That's where the magic happens.
And then blended that. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. So that sounds like a field trip for us, John.
I would love to. I tell you what, I've been the pleasure. I know where they get their barrels from. I've been to ISCs like the forest where they grow the trees, to their lumber yard, to their actual what do you call it? Research and development. Like it's insane what they're doing over there.
Yeah, it's cool and it's fun, and we get to taste the rewards.
Yeah.
Well, let's pour batch 2 while we're on it, and while we're doing that, Jason, why don't you tell us what all's going on with both Buzzard Roost Whiskey Row experience and Bourbons Bistro?
Well, we're chugging along down there at Buzzard Roost. First of the year got a little slow, just from the tourism standpoint of it. But we've got a big year this year, just all over the city with the PGA coming and Derby 150. It's going to be mayhem, I do believe, between Whiskey Row and the restaurant. We're tightening our belt and dotting all of our T's and I's over there at the restaurant as well, trying to make sure we put a good foot forward. Honestly, I'd love for everybody that comes to town to leave with Bourbons Bistro and Buzzard's Roost on their mind. And Peerless, you gotta love that.
Yeah. I forget it's the one. Yeah, it is the 150th anniversary today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one this year.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a big one. So we're just, both of them, Kevin, are chugging along. We're always a little bit of growing pains down there. I think when we set that up, we've got it about 85% there at the Buzzard Roost experience, and we're trying to make it great for the guests. So we're always kind of changing things. I mentioned before we started the show that I think we're going to try to do a fill your own barrel thing. I'd love to get both of y'all down and taste the White Dog, the new make that's coming off the still. I think we're going to try to bottle that and sell that just at the Whiskey Row experience. I think it's really good White Dog. So yeah, man, we're just and tweaking our tours. Ethan and I may do a full day distilling class down there, once a month, where you come in and just spend the day with us, and we'll run a batch, and you get to actually cut the heads and the hearts and the tails off of it and see the difference and see how we do it with the temperatures and all of that, So it'll be a pretty fun class, and hang out and make whiskey all day.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like a bad idea. And I think that not to speak for John, but I think that we would both be up for coming down and tasting a little of the White Dog too. So
Those cocktails were amazing when we were down there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. And here's one thing I want to say about both of your establishments, Jason. Both of them are where people make really great memories, and they go there to celebrate things. They go there to gather with friends. I mean, anytime John and I are going to get together and catch up, it's either at Bourbons Bistro or, like you said, a couple of weeks we're down there at Buzzard Roost. And I can think of so many different events, big events that have occurred in my life and the life of friends that either at your restaurant or at Buzzard Roost, or quite frankly, just sitting on my back patio sipping some of your whiskey. It's become something that a lot of great memories are made around the things that you do. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. That's what whiskey's all about. That's what it's all about. Great friends and great stories, the ones we can remember. And those memories last forever. Those ones that you do remember, they last for a long time. So we're really proud of that, and it's been a long. It would be 19 years coming up here in April that we've been over at Bourbons Bistro, and it's been a roller coaster ride. It's been definitely an experience. So we're glad that we can be there for people like that. Be a part of their stories as well.
And that's like a second home to me. I mean, that's where I love taking the barrel groups whenever they come in. I'm like, if y'all want to try some of the best food.
Yeah, John's one of our biggest fans. I mean, once we get him moved into the neighborhood,
I'm hoping. I've been looking.
Son will be right down the street.
Yeah.
You can keep an eye on him then.
Yeah, right.
So we've talked about so the things that Bourbons Bistro and Buzzard Roost mean to us personally, but you've also won some pretty lofty awards for those. So tell us, because Bourbons Bistro was named International Bourbon Bar of the Year. Is that right?
Yes. Whiskey Magazine gave us Global Bar of the Year. So the best whiskey bar in the world. It was quite an accolade, and we're just flattered to have it, and tickled to death. I never expected it. We just do what we do, and it's nice to be recognized for that, for sure. But that's not why we're out there. I mean, we definitely want to be the best at what we do, and but it's for the people, and they all, it's a fun part of the community to be in this community. The whiskey community is
right.
Filled with great people, and like I said, to be recognized by all of your peers, it's exciting,
Yeah.
So,
so let's talk about one other recognition that I believe is past due for you, and that is induction in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame.
How that has not happened yet.
Well, there was a push on it a few years ago, and I know Steve Akeley was doing a lot through ABV, and I'd written some articles about it, and then COVID hit, and KDA kind of hunkered down for, I don't know, 2-3 years, whatever the case may be. But all that being said, when you look at what you've done with Bourbons Bistro, well, let's just say this: since that time, you've only enhanced your quote unquote resume for it by leaps and bounds with what the accolades that have come to Bourbon's Bistro and the awards that you've won for Buzzard's Roost, and the way that product has not only grown in terms of the number of brands that you have, but also in terms of its distribution. So this is something that the time has come, let's say.
Well, you guys are too kind. I mean, it definitely would be very flattering. I guess, when I started Bourbon's Bistro or what have you, never knew there was a Bourbon Hall of Fame, and I found out, that it once, doing research about bourbon over the years, and never dreamed I would be in it, or never dreamed I'd be up for it. And like I said, if it happens, that would be, great once again to be recognized by your peers. But if it doesn't happen, that's okay too. I'll just keep. I'm in it for the whiskey. I'm in it for the community. I love what I do, and will keep doing as long as I can. And if you get some awards here and there, I guess that's a little icing on the cake. But I think, I've got one of the greatest jobs around, so that's reward enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. When you go in the restaurant, you just never know who's going to be there. I mean, you got everyone from like Heaven Hill to Maker's Mark to Jim Beam. And I think it's just like what's so cool about that place. It's such like a hub, a general hub for people in the industry.
Yep.
Once again, it's great to be recognized as that, and a place where everybody can show up and tell stories and drink some whiskey together, and hugs and handshakes and all that. It's a cool little community. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, we'll be. I'm sure we'll be doing some things to help promote that effort for you, and as far as we're concerned, it should be a done deal. But we'll just wait on the others to catch up. They're just a little behind the curve. So, all right, we've been sipping on this batch 2 for a little bit. John, what are your thoughts on it, and how do you think it compares to 1?
Man, to me, it's completely different from batch 1. I mean, but once again, it's going from 3 to 10. But man, the complexity, it's a little bit heavier on the mouthfeel. I feel like it's a little bit more, got some more legs to it. And I love it. It's a big transition from 3 to 10. But like I said, I think they're just completely different flavor profiles for me. Love 1, but I think 2 definitely steals it for me.
2 seemed to take on the smoke more than 1. 1, I think, has more sweetness to it, and I think 2 has more smokiness to it. And I think I love them both. But the one I love most is the one that we'll probably talk about next. Jason, so what are your thoughts as far as the progression from 1 to 2?
I think you all are spot on, really. Like I said, I thought 1 was a little bit lighter. And I almost not quite fruitier. I mean, it's just a little bit of a lighter mouthfeel, like John said. But it's got that sweetness. It's got a little bit of fruitiness to it, to me.
Yeah.
And then number 2 does pick up a little bit more smoke. And I don't know whether we adjusted the smoke time at all a little bit. But 2 is really nice as well.
Yeah.
It does have it's definitely a little bit more viscous, and it's got that all around mouthfeel on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're both, I think you knocked it out of the park with both of them, and that batch 1 turned out as good as it did, being, I guess, the first experiment with it. Says a lot, and you can tell that you tried some different things with batch 2, and while it's different than 1, it's still outstanding.
Yeah, we're all, like I said, we're always trying to kind of tweak it and make sure that it's better, and we learn from our mistakes as well. So
yeah. So let's pour some batch 3, and while we're tasting that and experiencing that, one of the things what we're going to do music wise tonight is we're going to talk about the top 10 songs from Jason's senior year of high school. So Jason, this is 1986. So I've got you beat by a year. So and I always thought, the 80s were probably the best music decade until I saw the list of top 10 songs from 1986.
yeah, you got it. There's a lot of poppy stuff in there,
Yeah.
which I was having no part of.
Yeah. But we'll start.
Yeah,
So go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, it's just that we probably talked. I played music and was in a band at the time, and
Yeah.
So we really didn't do any poppy, the kind of the dancey poppy stuff.
Yeah.
We were more kind of rock and roll, college rock type.
Yeah. So we'll start with number 10, and number 10 I really like. I think 10's outstanding. That's "Addicted to Love" by Robert Palmer.
Great video.
Yeah, great video. That video was something that a high school senior boy would really enjoy.
Yeah. And I know John's probably sitting over there, and he probably hasn't heard 5 of the 10, maybe.
I don't know. My music, I love anything from the 60s above. So I mean, I don't know. I guarantee if you played a clip of it, I know exactly what it was.
The Robert Palmer.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, produced by Bernard Edwards of Chic, and I think Robert Palmer's great. He's got a fantastic voice, great soulful voice, and so
good
I really
bass line in that song.
Yes. Well, Bernard Edwards, so bass player for Chic, produced this song, played bass on the song. So yeah. Number 9 was Kyrie by Mr. Mister.
John, Kyrie.
Yeah, John, have you ever heard of Mr. Mister?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, well.
Kyrie eleison, down the road I must travel.
Yes.
Which is God bless me or something?
Something like that. Yeah, it's some
God
sort of
bless the road I travel or something.
I think the lyrics are based on some Gregorian chant, if I remember correctly. So there's some Latin thrown in there in the lyrics.
That's a little bit before the 60s.
Because they're classy that way. But Mr. Mister was just a group of studio musicians that got together and created a band, kind of like Toto did, but not nearly as good as Toto. Okay. Number 8 was "Burning Heart" by Survivor. Rocky Four. So yeah.
I stopped watching after 3.
Well, yeah, that's probably a good idea. But "Burning Heart" by Survivor. You remember Survivor? They did
Survivor for sure, but I don't remember that particular song. I don't think.
Then we
burned it from my memory.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that great. Not after. It's hard to follow up. Eye of the Tiger, but they tried, and it's hard to follow up Rocky 1, 2, or 3, but they tried that also. Right. Now, number 7 is "Party All the Time" by Eddie Murphy. Now, I know you remember that one, Jason.
That's a good one.
Have you ever heard that song, John?
I haven't, but I mean, I know Eddie. I love Eddie Murphy. I just know what's his stand-up, Eddie Murphy Raw. It's like one of the best ones.
Yes,
that was probably right around there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Raw may have been a couple of years before that, but the song was written and produced by Rick James, recorded in Rick James' home studio. And Eddie Murphy decided he wanted to make an album because he had $100,000 bet with Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor said, "You can't sing. I got $100,000 on it." So Eddie Murphy went out and created an entire album, and for my estimation, proved Richard Pryor right.
Yes.
I don't know who actually paid up on that bet.
Even though it was very obviously it was a very popular song.
Oh yeah. It was. I think it peaked at number 2 on the charts. So
party all the time.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yes, that could be a character. You know what? In the basement at Buzzard Roost,
Karaoke
training room, we need a little karaoke thing going.
Is that back when the leather outfits were in, right?
All day long.
Oh yeah.
Leather ties.
Oh yeah. And
I had a leather tie with piano keys on it. Why I don't know.
Do you still have it? You still have it?
I do not.
No.
There was a band that did that. Gosh, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a terrible band. Really bad hair. I'll have to find that.
We used to get buy that stuff at the merry-go-round.
I'd say pick your band back in those times.
Yeah, I mean, I love it.
Yep. So one more, and then we'll talk about 3. And that is "How Will I Know" by Whitney Houston. Now, you know that, right? How will I know if he really loves me? Yeah.
Oh, I love me some Whitney Houston.
She's crazy.
Well, when Bobby Brown got her hooked on cocaine, yeah. Before that, she was America's sweetheart, and then
there is that.
Yeah, that could be a problem, but yeah. But Whitney Houston, that's a deserving one to have on a any top 10 list. Girl can sing.
The 80s were a weird time.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot changing in the 80s. And especially technologically, and a lot of people tried to start incorporating that into their music, and some did it successfully, and others did not. All right, so batch 3 of Cigar Rye. What are your thoughts on this one, John?
This one's like 2 on steroids. It's a little bit sweeter. It's a little bit richer. It's everything I loved about 2, but better.
Yeah, a little bit smokier, a little bit sweeter. Yeah. Definitely as viscous. It's still got that viscosity to it, and it's I was thinking about doing a little blend over here of all of them.
That's not a bad idea. I can do that. To me, 3 takes the best of 1 and the best of 2 and puts it all together. And so Cigar Batch 3, it's still available in some stores, and I think you still have it down at Buzzard Roost on Main Street.
We've got a few left.
Yep. So grab this, and when we did our Bourbon Turntable year in review for 2023, nominee for Whiskey of the Year for both myself and Drew was this bottle right here. And that Drew and I agreed on it as being that good. We didn't agree on a lot. We did agree on a couple of things, but that should hopefully tell you that that it's pretty good. Hopefully we've earned enough trust for that. But I think this is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got to get another bottle while they're still available.
Looking forward to next year. Maybe not to doing it, but we'll get it done. Yeah.
Any plans to modify anything about it for next year?
I don't know. I mean, we'll probably sit down and talk about it. We'll analyze it a little bit later on in the year when we get ready to put some down. So we'll, before we actually do it, we'll kind of look at it and see if there's anything that we can tweak about it a little bit. Maybe the original toast profile from another barrel.
Yeah.
We may look into that since we're going to batch it. See if it's, if we think it's lacking anything, if we could pull that in with one of our other barrels and smoke one of those. So
awesome. Well, I'm gonna do exactly what you suggested, Jason, and do a blend of 1, 2, and 3, and let that rest for just a minute while we go through number 5 through number 1 from 1986. I feel like Casey Kasem. We need to do a long distance dedication to somebody. Coming at number 5 is another song by Mr. Mister. Apparently, 1986 was peak Mr. Mister time.
The only year.
Yes. Broken Wings by Mr.
Oh,
Mister.
that was big.
Yes.
That's some kind of like wedding song or something, wasn't it? I don't know.
It was
Broken Wings.
I think it was Grammy nominated song for them, and you still hear it every now and then floating around. But
I think they had one album. I mean, well, I'm sure they had more, but that was the only one.
They had one big album. I think they released 4 in total, but they had that one big album, and both Broken Wings and Kyrie were on that one. Coming in at number 4 is On My Own by Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald.
I love me some Michael McDonald. Patti LaBelle can belt it out. I'm trying to. I can't figure that in my head.
It's a very slow ballad. On my own. See, I'm singing now, so I've had just a little bit too much Buzzard or Cigar. But I'm certainly cannot ever hope to sing as well as Patti LaBelle or Michael McDonald. The fact that those two incredible voices got together on one song, that's something special. The song is not that great, but it's cool that
the parts make it good. Not the actual song, but the two on there for sure. Patti LaBelle's got a great voice, and I'd like to try to imitate, Michael McDonald every once in a while.
Yeah, when I do my Michael McDonald, it's always a Doobie Brothers song. He
Absolutely.
came from somewhere back in the long ago.
You guys hear me? There we go. Sorry, I accidentally pressed mute. Sorry.
So, John, do you know Patti LaBelle? Do you know Michael McDonald? Do you know who those are?
I know who Patti LaBelle is. Michael McDonald, drawing a blank on that one.
You know who the Doobie Brothers are?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He was the lead vocalist for the Doobie Brothers on a lot of their hits. Not their really early stuff, but kind of that, I don't know, third album and on for maybe, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
If you heard his voice, you know who it is. Did my impression of Michael McDonald not tell you immediately who it was?
Well, I mean,
you need to hear it again.
Well, in all due respect, I was born in '86.
There it is. That's what I was waiting
when
on.
these are coming out,
Yeah. Conceived on Jason's prom night.
Yeah.
I've got pairs of shoes older than him.
Oh man. Moving right along, number 3, and I have to be. I did not remember this song until I went back and listened to it. "I Miss You" by Climax. And now I know, like, "Miss You" by the Rolling Stones and "I Ain't Missing You" by John Waite, but I could not place "I Miss You" by Climax. But when I went back and listened to it, I remembered it. I remembered that I didn't like it, and I didn't listen to the whole song.
Yeah, I can see that. Like I said, the 80s were a weird time.
Yes. Coming in at number 2, "Say You, Say Me" by Lionel Richie. You know that one, right? Everybody remembers that. That was on his "Dancing on the Ceiling" album, so that was a big hit too.
That was probably a big wedding song as well.
Yes, and it was in the movie. It was in the movie White Nights with Mikhail Baryshnikov and Gregory Hines.
A couple of them. So it's dancing music or movie, I take it.
Yeah, I think so. And then number 1 that year was That's What Friends Are For by Dionne Warwick, Gladys Knight, Elton John, and Stevie Wonder.
Love the parts of it. Just
Yeah. Some of the parts is not make the whole, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That whole list is very disappointing.
Yeah. Now, that song was actually first recorded by Rod Stewart and was on the soundtrack for the movie Night Shift. Do you remember the movie Night
Shift? What, Henry Winkler in there?
Henry Winkler, that was like his first big movie role after Happy Days.
Yeah.
And it had a very young Michael Keaton in it.
Michael Keaton, right.
A really fun movie. So have you ever seen Night Shift, John?
Oh yeah, who hasn't seen Night Shift? I'm a huge movie buff.
All right, good. All right, so somewhere in there is the song "That's What Friends Are For." I'm not really sure how it fits in Night Shift, but it's there.
That is the Wayback Machine right there for sure.
Mm-hmm. So this, did you guys were able to make a blend?
I did.
Hold on. Now I gotta make a blend. Hold on. Keep going. There we go.
I don't know. Once again, we might be like those 80s songs. There's some of the parts, I think I like them individually more than I like them together.
I would agree with that. I think that's spot on. It's like
I'm close.
You take Gladys Knight, and you take Elton John, and you take Stevie Wonder, and you put them together, and it doesn't work as well. Now, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. If you put it down in front of me, I drink it. But
yeah, I think the individual ones stand out quite a bit more than them together.
God, that's good.
Okay.
It's like I said, one of those songs. It's good in theory. We put good people on it, and I mean, it's good, but I think I like them individually a little better.
Yep. So, John, you said you seem to be more enthusiastic about it than Jason and myself.
What's that?
About the blend.
No, the blend's fantastic.
Okay.
So I like the fruitiness of one that we had there.
Yep.
Because to me, one just was totally different between 2 and 3, but 3, man, the nose on 3, the flavor, it is fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with that. So, if you had to pick a favorite child, Jason, what are you coming down on?
I'm gonna have to go number 3.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. If I fooled around with them a little bit, maybe 3 with a little bit of 1 in it.
Yeah.
And like John said earlier, I think 2 is just kind of 3 on steroids. So maybe just keep 2 out of it. It is what it is. And then somehow get that fruitiness of 1 somehow to show up on 3 a little bit. And then the full finish and viscosity of 3. So that would be I would really just like to sit down with 1 and 3.
Yep. John, what are your thoughts on the 3 that have been produced, and then the blend that you made? What stands out to you?
It may not be a bad idea to do a blend of 1, 2, and 3, but like I said, my favorite out of them would probably be 3, then 1, then 2. Like I said, I thought 2 was good. I thought 3 was my absolute favorite, but I love the fruitier notes in rye, and I love how that still comes out with the cigar blend in 1.
Yeah. Yep. I would agree. I would rank them the same. 3, 1, 2. I think 3 captures the best of 2 and the best of 1. It's got the smokiness that's in 2. It's got the sweetness that's in 1. And it's just spot on. Now, is there a profile that when you're blending these, Jason, that you're looking for, that you're saying, okay, that's it. This is what I had in my mind, and this is it.
Well, we get the spiciness from the rye, and then we, put it in one of our sweeter toasts.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting the sweet and spicy, and then when you put that smoke on it, it's really, I like it to come together. Sweet, spicy, and smoky. It's almost like a good piece of brisket or something.
Yeah.
Kind of oily with the mouthfeel, and if you got some sweet sauce on I don't know, just sweet, spicy, smoky, and we try to get that from each component. From the rye being a 95% rye, and then the sweet toast of the barrel, and then once again the smokiness of the tobacco is really pretty cool.
Yeah.
What kind of tobacco do y'all use for that?
It's Kentucky, just leaf tobacco.
Tobacco?
Yeah, just Kentucky leaf.
That's good. Okay, well, we'll kind of start wrapping up this show, and this has been a lot of fun. Learned a lot in the process, and
I'm clearly disappointed about the top 10 of 86.
I don't know, man. We haven't heard.
I can't wait till
we'll
get John's.
Yeah, next show we're going to be doing some tastings of Peerless Rye 2, 3, 4, and 7 year. So that'll be a lot of fun, and we'll be running down the top 10 songs from the year John graduated from high school. So
I can't wait to hear those.
Yeah, leave your guesses in the comments of what year that would have been. He may have given it away when he said when he was born, but well, it'll be fun to run down that list because it's very different from 1986. It's a whole new world. But before we wrap things up, John, tell folks where they can find you on social media and your various endeavors.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at bourboncolonel_86, or even check out my coffee company at staveandbean.com.
All right, awesome. And Jason, how about you?
Well, I am the Bluegrass Bourbon Baron on Instagram, and then Bourbons Bistro and Buzzard Roost should be on all the media platforms.
Yep. And this is a couple of shots of the Buzzard Roost whiskey experience. So there's the bar, and there's another shot of the bar. It's just gorgeous. So if you're making a trip to Louisville to go down bourbon trails or whatever it is you may want to be doing, a visit to the Buzzard Roost whiskey experience needs to be a part of it. A visit to Bourbon's Bistro for dinner needs to be a part of it. And go see John at Kentucky Peerless and check that out as well, because they always have some really unique single barrels for sale, distillery only, and the flavor profiles that they're able to get off those things are just amazing. So be sure to check all of that out, and you will not be disappointed. As for our show, like I mentioned earlier, we are on YouTube. If you want to watch the show, if you want to listen, look at these two lovely men, father and son. Why would you not want to watch this show? But if for whatever reason you don't, you can listen on your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, or Google. Check out our Facebook page. Check out our Facebook group. We would love to have you there. We have a good time. That's all I'm gonna say. We have a good time. Maybe you learn a little something that Rick James wrote and produced Eddie Murphy's hit single. So you learned that tonight. You might learn something like that on Facebook. So, with all that being said, be sure to join us next time when we'll be turning the tables and we'll be putting Mr. John Wadell under the spotlight, both with his whiskey and with his music from the year of his graduation. I want to thank Jason and John for being here. And on behalf of them, thank you for watching. And until next time, cheers, love, and free bird. Buzzard.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good night.
Mm.